Hello, everybody. I'm just going to record this. Beautiful. Just bear with me one sec, just so I can make sure that I am live in the right place. I always like to triple check these things because once I went live in the wrong place and it was really embarrassing. I had to go back and delete it and apologize. Anyway, hello, everyone. Great to be here. I am joined by the delightful Shay Fairley. Hello, Shay.
Hello.
Shay and I have been yoga buddies the last couple of weeks. We've been bumping into each other at yoga at 7:30 and 10 a.m. in the morning and having a great time. I wanted to bring Shay on today to be in conversation with her. She's an amazing woman. If you don't know this lady, you really want to get on her page and really, scout out the work that she's doing. Shay, did you want to do a quick introduction of yourself?
Yeah, thank you. So my background, so for the last 12 years, it's probably almost been 13 now, I've been doing I've been doing evolutionary astrology readings. That sort of became more my focus as and then sort of took over as my main service. And then 5 years ago, around that time, I was introduced to human design, and because of my astrology background, I sort of started to delve into that. But then I went straight from there into the gene keys, and I became a gene keys guide and did all of Richard Rudd's courses because they were just amazing. And then I sort of started to merge in my readings. When I offer readings to people, I sort of started to merge my intuitive way of doing evolutionary astrology with gene keys and using human design as the bridge that combines the two systems together. And it's been a beautiful thing because I've met some absolutely amazing souls along the way, and I've been able to do a lot of readings now. So probably up to like 1,000 charts. And Tash knows this about me, but I sort of like have this way of like keeping the charts in my head. So it's a little bit
Wild.
like filing systems. And
you have like a photographic memory for people's charts. It's amazing.
Yeah. And then they sort of like, and then it sort of all comes together in this intuitive way. So and then, knowing people's blueprint, I guess. And then one of our other beautiful friends, Steph, we've both had our genius activation by her, our genius read. And through her genius, it became that I was like a journey master, or able to help people journey from sort of their past into their future. And this is a big part of evolutionary astrology anyway. And so there's lots of sort of magic coming where I want to create my own modality where I help people journey through
like
their
shamanic journeys. Just dial that in. Shamanic
journey through their astrological blueprint, so they can really understand it. So even though they can understand it when I do readings for them, they can sort of journey themselves and sort of absorb it by experiencing past lives of theirs, and then seeing where that trajectory into what they're supposed to be really activating in this lifetime. And so that's sort of to come, and I'm really excited
cool
about that.
Yeah, really awesome. And what I'm getting is like a real embodied understanding of your blueprint through the actual journeying itself. I think that sounds wildly cool. Really cool. Magic indeed. Awesome. So Shay came on board the Warriors of Light project last year when we officially opened that up. And Shay, I'd love to like dial in some questions here with you around, like why you decided to say yes to the Warriors of Light project and what the experience was like for you. So do you maybe want to start with that question? What drew you to that book project, and what was it about it that made you say yes?
Yeah, so I've been following your other books as well, because I knew authors from your other books, and I every time that you did a book, I would like, download that book on Kindle, and then I would just be like, Tash has this just absolutely amazing way of just bringing in authors' gifts. And then I reached out to Mary Grishna and asked her, and she said, actually, it was one of the most amazing things that she's ever said yes to. And when it was actually Warriors of Light, that was something that was really like, as soon as it was that title, and I guess like some of the authors have done multiple books with you as well now, because they've loved just being with you and that whole journey, and because so much happens and so much growth, and because you also get a soul family with all the authors, and you like I've met like a lot of the authors that were in Warriors of Light. We've became connected now in a way that we'll always stay somehow connected. But when it was that title, like Warriors of Light, I was like, oh, that's something that was like, okay, this is the one, this is the one that I am really drawn to, and that's sort of like a theme in my blueprint as well. And it just felt light, but also like a lot of courage to go into that. So it was just, as soon as I saw that, and I was like, okay, yes, I have to say yes. And and it was just like Mary said, it was the best decision ever.
So what was it like being inside the project itself and writing your chapter and going through the launch process and the summit? Like, there's a lot involved in the project. What was it like being inside the actual project itself?
Oh, it was so amazing, because you just hold, like, so for people that don't know how the project goes, like Tash like facilitates and holds space so well. So even though you're not trying to change our chapters or anything like that, and you're letting us be ourselves, like completely you be you and step into it, there's also a lot of guidance and support and around, and mentorship around how to get the chapter out and how to actually express your chapter in that way. Because for that side of things seemed overwhelming for me. Like, I was someone who even through school and through uni, like I did primary school teaching through uni, but even through uni, I was one of the ones that were like, I would get to like 10,000 words. If I was supposed to do 5,000 words, I would be 10,000 words, but it wouldn't be like, the message wouldn't come together. And I love storytelling. Like, I love actually getting a story out there, but don't know how to like put it together. And so it was such a beautiful journey of being able to go into your life, reflect on your life, contemplate on the big things that you've done. It's such a special thing. And I think everyone, my North Node's Leo. So it's like, Leo is like leaving your legacy anyway. But I actually strongly believe that every person on this planet should leave their legacy of and their story as they say it, rather than as someone tells it. And even when we go to funerals or something like that, a lot of the time it's beautiful because other people get to share what you meant to them, but there's not often where the person themselves has left their own story and you can watch their own story.
I love that. I love that.
So I just, and then you think, like, for your grandchildren, if they're going back ever and listening to your own story from your own words, like, how cool that
it's something tangible, a book we can pass on. And, books have their own consciousness. They make their own way around the world as well. They come in with these big energies just like we do.
So it was beautiful. It was such a beautiful journey to do that, and then to have the guidance also of how to get it out there, how to do that.
I think that's often because when when we have an outside perspective on bringing something together, like, some people do it really beautifully themselves, it's a very natural thing, but for the majority of people, it's actually quite difficult to bring together a piece of storytelling or a piece of content and structure it in a way that is like really impactful and that reads with a really beautiful pace and that leaves a really powerful message, right? It's something I think that we can all develop because it's such a beautiful skill and a beautiful, it is exactly like you said, a part of our legacy as well. And so how did you find the summit? I know the summit was like, your summit presentation was so amazing. And if anybody wants to go back and have a look, the Facebook group is still live. Shay did an amazing presentation on human design and evolutionary astrology. How did you find that, and like stepping into the spotlight, so to speak?
Yeah, it felt really good. Like, I was super excited. Like, I was also nervous leading up to that because it was my first book and it was my first summit. And I also had watched on to other summits from other books, and I sort of knew what was to what was supposed to happen, I guess. But at the same time, I tried to just do it my own way, and just like, I always, before I do anything, before I do like even before today, even before I do readings, I always just sort of do a prayer. It's like, just let me say whatever's meant to be said, for the highest good, or for whoever can get something out of it for the highest intention. So I loved it. I actually felt that, again, it was another opportunity besides the book, which is writing a part of your story or legacy. This time it was like another opportunity to be creative online. And I, after the summit, I actually started to be a lot more comfortable with doing my readings via Zoom, and that sort of,
I noticed that.
Yeah,
I had a reading with you, would have been, well, maybe just as you were saying yes to the Warriors of Light project, and I asked you, do you do this on Zoom? You would open up the whole world, and you're like, no, I don't know about Zoom, it's too complicated, I just want to do it in person. And I noticed you started doing them online, which makes such a big I'll ask you, what was the impact that had on your business?
Massive now, because I used to only do them via recording where the other person wasn't. So for people that were overseas in other time zones and things like that couldn't make it in person, I would do them via recording, but they never actually, when it's via recording, it felt good for me at that period, because I would intuitively just sort of channel at the same time as reading. And then the rest of them would be face to face, but Zoom felt overwhelming for me. It felt like, I can't do it via Zoom. And then once also, because you give a lot of support in the book, but you also give a lot of support with technology and saying, do this. And as soon as I opened up to Zoom, majority of my readings are via Zoom now. And you can sit in your pajamas on the
I know.
And you don't have to clean your house.
I know. Scrub the toilet quickly. I used to do shiatsu treatments from home, so I know that well. It's like, okay, where's the toilet paper? Is there anything that, and it can just leave you feeling a little bit like rushed and scattered.
Love
it. Yeah, that's great. And so what was the impact that the summit had for you on your business, on your bookings?
Well, it's just opened everything up. I now, like I said, the majority of the people that are ordering readings now I've got so many more connections, because between you and you and Steph especially, and actually also Christy and people that I've done readings for, and Natalie, they've actually sent a lot of their people through.
So the referral networks start kicking in.
Start to get huge, and so that's a lot of the readings that I've been doing via Zoom or packages now have all been connections to or other authors or you. So
beautiful. Beautiful. It's the power of having a really well-developed referral network, and it's the power of collaboration, really. Like, I think the old ways of doing business where it's just you and you're the one doing everything, and you're the one doing the sales and the marketing, and you're the one spruiking your product or your services, those days are really gone. And I believe I'm stepping into a new era in my business, which is all about collaboration. Like, let me share your work, you share my work, like, let's jump together, like on an interview like this, where it's much more in collaboration with each other. It makes it so much easier, so much more fun.
It does. And it seems really, it's a whole new thing. Because like you said, spruiking yourself was not me anyway. I could never do that. And then where we're at the moment in the world, it's like a lot of people trying to do that. You don't even know
Mm.
Are they a bot?
Yeah,
Real?
yeah,
Are they even,
exactly.
is their message even real, or is their
Yeah, are
message
they even real?
nervous?
It's the wild times we live in, that's for sure.
Yeah.
So what
Yeah.
would you say, Shay, to someone who was like maybe teetering on the edge? You know, they've seen a new book project, it's sparked something within them, but maybe they're a little bit scared, or you know, they're uncertain about jumping in. What would you say to them?
Oh, yeah, as just absolutely do it. Like, even
Mm.
if you feel nervous, or even if you feel like, for me, there was this like balance before Warriors of Light. With the other books, I was always like, oh, part of my soul was always like, yes, you want to do something like this, but then I was also like, oh, do I want to be seen, or do I want to be like that? So I was holding back, but I was always like, and then there's a lot of nerves around things like saying yes to something big like that, and the way that you might be seen. But yeah, it's the best. It's so good.
Yeah,
I'd say, yeah, do it.
yeah.
Do it.
What would you say would be the biggest hurdle that you moved, or the biggest challenge that you alchemized in the project?
Um, I don't know, actually, because for me, I didn't, like, you know how before, for a lot of authors before, I think you said, like, the worry about when you're writing your book, your chapter, and if, because there's other people potentially involved in your story, and you're so worried about what's the implications of sharing on that level, or
Yeah.
if I share like that, is it going to affect my family, or is someone going to get angry at me or upset at me, or that always is. But for me, the worry is I'd sort of overcome a lot, and that's probably why I didn't jump until Warriors of Light, because I sort of had worked through a lot of that anyway. And by the time I got to Warriors of Light, I had analyzed that side so much that I was like, no, I'm not, I'm doing it.
I'm ready.
I'm ready. And my intention is that it's for the higher good of like my message and getting my work out there for whoever it can help. And so I'm not going to worry so much about who has a problem with it.
Yeah, yeah. And I think that's a really powerful position to be coming from. And because it is like some people have legitimate reasons to be a little bit nervous, like, you know, when court cases that have happened, or, you know, big like slander that's happened in the past. Like, I've seen a lot of people come through with some big stories. And like everything, the energy that we go into a project with is everything, I believe.
Yes.
And, you know, going in with that intention that, you know, this is about sharing my story. It's about leaving a legacy. It's not about pointing the finger at anyone. It's not about blame or judgment. And to be able to really, and this is what I think can be so powerful about these projects, is learning how to share your story in a way that is through the lens of empowerment, not through the lens of victimhood, right?
Yes, absolutely.
And that's a game changer for people, because it's a restorying. It's changes the thought process that we have, and the nervous system attachments that we can have to our past.
Absolutely. And I think, yeah, it has been, like, you know, the suppression of a lot of the deeply intuitive, you know, even the witch wound and all of those, the deep, like all of that that's been suppressed massively. It is like nature has its own intelligence of getting that out, and the cycle is ready now. And so it's ready. Like the world is not only ready, but it's going to happen anyway, that suppression can't be suppressed anymore. So all of that power of that intelligence, of the, you know, of the feminine, like intuitive psychic energy has to come through anyway. So if we do it in the most empowering way, like you said, instead of the victim way, it actually changes other people's lives and gives them a way to go, I don't need to like suppress all of that anymore.
Yeah.
Collective field of us now going, it's okay to be sensitive, psychic, intuitive, like deeply get your story out, like tell the truth on your own story in an empowered way instead of a victim way. Like, you know, that can't be suppressed, because it's not, it doesn't heal any of the ancestral traumas.
100%. Yeah, and it's like fascinating times we're in, isn't it? And I'd love to hear your opinion on like energetically what are the times that we're heading into. But you know, for so many generations, particularly women, but men as well, but particularly women, you know, couldn't speak up about certain topics. You know, couldn't show their passion, couldn't show their fire, couldn't show their wildness. They were fucking burned at the stake, right?
Yeah.
They were raped. They had their children taken away from them.
Yeah.
And you know, a lot of the powerful work that I'm going to be doing with the Threshold project, which is the next book project that kicks off in Feb, is really diving into clearing the witch wound and looking at clearing the vow of invisibility, and you know, really working through these different wounds, the wound templates that can really hold us back in so many different ways. But Shay, I'd love to hear your opinion on like what are the times that we're heading into from a astrological, human design, Gene Keys perspective, because I know you love talking about this and your insights are really valuable here.
Yeah, so I don't know if you know the book I Am Lilith as well.
No.
Yeah, so yeah, Halia, my sister-in-law, she was reading it and she said, oh, it's really cool. So I ended up getting it on Kindle and I've just started reading it on Kindle. But I've got the hard copy book coming as well because I love having both. But it's interesting because in astrology, so all the prophecies are, you know, Hopi prophecies, astrological prophecies through all the lenses through. So human design itself is like Eastern and Western astrology. It's the I Ching, the Kabbalah, and also the Hindu chakra system, but every astrological prophecy all understood the cycles that we are coming into the ending in 2020 really was the ending of cycles that were so matriarchal and patriarchal cycles are always like 5,000 years, and Earth goes through these cycles all the time. And apparently this is actually from my brother's astral travel where he saw that the Pleiades and Earth, we do the opposite cycle. So when the Pleiades is going through patriarchal cycles, we're going through matriarchal cycles. We reflect each other.
Fascinating.
Yeah, so we go through them, and then the great ages are 2,160 years. And then we have 26,000 years cycles, which is like the epochs and the yugas. So all of them, there was the prophecies all understood that all of them would end at and then start again in a brand new way. So we now in the beginning of the age of Aquarius, as well as the beginning of the new matriarch, as well as a brand new epoch, but this matriarch would be different. So in Lilith's like Lilith's time as a previous matriarchal, and you know, Isis, and when they had the previous matriarchal rulership times, men were really suppressed. So in Lilith's rulership, the women were the high priestesses, and they didn't want to actually even let out the secret to men that they were part of, that they were a part of creation, and that they were trying to suppress men. So men were so insignificant in Lilith's time, and the women just had all the riches and everything, which is also really not okay. But this is where humanity moved. And then Adam and Eve. So Adam was the man that came to Lilith, and he gave warning to Lilith and the other priestesses. This is the end now of the matriarch, and in Lilith's time, the high priestesses also knew the prophecy that when the end of the cycle was happening, that was the end. But the women were all like, the high priestesses were all like, what can we do to suppress this? What can we do to, you know, keep our rulership? And Lilith knew so I'm not the whole way through the book yet, but she knew that nothing could be done to suppress it, because it's a cycle of evolution. And so she was like, there's nothing we can do other than try our best to prolong it, but it can't be prolonged. And so then now the same thing, we're at the end of the patriarchal system. So all the infrastructure and systems that are in place now in our medical system and education system and everything, no matter banking system and elites holding that power, no matter what they do to suppress it, it can't be suppressed, because it's Earth in her. She's got her own intelligence, just if people suppress it more, it's just going to backfire. There's
Wow.
nothing that can be done. But then we went through, the patriarchal times, women were and children were hugely suppressed. And so were, Black compared to white, and all this distortion. But this return to the matriarchy is going into a different epoch as well. And the epoch now is not part of the epoch of ignorance. The epoch is actually part of the epoch of return to bliss and closer to the truth of source. And so this time it won't be women in charge. It will be men and all races and cultures, all religions, from Buddhism to everything, working out that we're actually just one, because it will coincide with Aquarius, which Aquarius knows it's one collective organism and one human family. So now it's the time of us instead of the time of who's trying to work out who's in control. It's we're doing this together. And whoever doesn't want to go on to the beginning phase of the new earth, their contract is that they'll go out until they're ready. And the new earth, no matter what anyone tries to suppress, it's coming. And it's what we're creating.
I've definitely felt with everything we've seen in the last few years, like the metaphor that comes through more than ever is like, these are the death throes of the dying beast, like the violent, extreme death throes of an old way that is collapsing, that just is trying to hang on. And, often that can be dangerous times because of, like a wild animal pushed to its brink will can do dangerous things. But it makes sense, right? Coming together as a collective, working in collaboration, we're so much stronger together than we are on our own. And I think that's what makes these book projects, but also the whole, human family movement coming together so powerful. So Shay, where can people find out more information about you and your amazing work?
So I do have a Facebook page. Facebook is interesting, but I do have that still because it's connections that I have on there. But I've got my own website, which is astrohealing.com.au.
I'll pop that into the description. I'll edit it and pop it back in so people can find out more about you.
Yes.
Yay. Any final words? Final thoughts?
No, it's just been super beautiful. Like anyone that's contemplating working with Tash, just 1,000%. She's just incredible. She's like a powerhouse when it comes to her service. And she's just helping so many people to get out their story, which is so, everyone that can step into that now and help like bring on that new earth in that higher way is like amazing. So
a real contribution to the collective.
Yeah.
Thank you, my love. Thank you everyone for tuning in. I know we've had a few people popping in and out. Guys, if you had any questions for Shay, feel free to pop them in the comments. And the Threshold project officially kicks off in early February. We still have some spots left, so please feel free to reach out if you'd like to know some more information and you have that intuitive nudge that you'd like to partake. Alrighty, my love, thank you for joining me.
Thank you.
Happy Monday, everybody, and I will see you all soon. Okay.